As board members, we encourage you to attend, watch, and listen to our committee discussion resulting in action at the board meetings. For full disclosure, committee meetings and board meetings are always announced, video and audio taped, as well as posted to our webpage for your view. All of our meetings are public and visitors are welcome. We have a first tonight, moving on to 1.02 in our agenda. Our treasurer, Mrs. Camphouse, cannot be with us this evening, so we do need to appoint a treasurer pro tem for the meeting tonight. So I would like to motion that we make Brandon Atwood the treasurer pro tem for this meeting.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Okay, Mr. Atwood is our finance representative on the board, so I think it makes sense to have him in this position.
I was just going to say, I hope Julie feels better soon.
I hope she feels better also. I think she said yesterday she's never missed a board meeting in 30-something years. Not with this district the whole time, of course, but in
Holy
30-something
moly.
years. So you know she would be here if she could. All right, so Mr. Atwood, are you going to call the roll for yourself, or?
Yes.
Okay, we weren't sure how this works.
Yep. Mr. Atwood, yes. Ms. Ballard?
Yes.
Mrs. Rarica?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes. All right, item 1.03, roll call. Mr. Atwood, if you would call the roll, please.
Mrs. Cole?
Present.
Mr. Taylor?
Present.
Mr. Atwood? Present. Ms. Ballard?
Present.
Mrs. Rarica?
Present.
If you would please stand with us and for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 1.05 is the adoption of our agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda as written?
I'll motion to adopt.
A second?
Any discussion? Mr. Atwood?
Mr. Atwood, yes. Ms. Ballard?
Yes.
Mrs. Rarica?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mrs. Cole?
Yes.
I have to do motion because here's the...
Yeah. All right, 1.06, these are our minutes for the regular meeting held December 15th. 1.07, these are the minutes from the organizational meeting held January 10th. And 1.08, the committee meeting minutes from January 10th. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes listed in 1.06 through 1.08?
I motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Mr. Atwood?
Mr. Atwood, yes. Ms. Ballard?
Yes.
Mrs. Rarica?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mrs. Cole?
Yes. All right, moving on to number 2 on the agenda. These are presentations, and we'll start with 2.01. This is board members' appreciation, which is awkward. I'm saying that myself, too. So I will turn it over to Superintendent Mrs. Ronan.
Thank you, Madam President. We have a lot of individuals to honor this evening, but we're going to start with our school board members. January is School Board Recognition Month, and the Ohio School Boards Association has sent certificates for everyone, which is on the table. And in addition to that, Governor DeWine has sent a resolution that I would like to read. It says, in the name and by the authority of the state of Ohio, whereas more than 700 school boards of education oversee and manage the personnel and property of school districts throughout Ohio, and whereas school board members are elected to establish the policies and provide the framework for their schools, and whereas school board members devote hours of their time each week to provide leadership to their school boards, and I did want to mention without pay, whereas school boards fill an important role with members creating and monitoring district plans and making sure students have the tools and skills to reach their full potential, and whereas, I'm going to put a picture of our school board members up there, school board members advocate for the best interests of the students served in their districts, and whereas it is important that communities support school boards so that their students receive the best education and are prepared to be leaders of tomorrow. And now, therefore, we, Mike DeWine and Governor, and John Husted, Lieutenant Governor of the state of Ohio, do therefore recognize January as School Board Recognition Month. So let's give them a round of applause. Now, we wanted to make sure that we had a little token of our appreciation, so one of our teachers, our art teachers at the middle school, it says Mr. Baumgartner's art class put together the flowers and painted the pots and that lovely saying, and each one of the students who made it wrote their name on the back. So thank you very much. And in addition to thanking all the school board, we also wanted to thank Mr. Atwood for serving as board president for the last 3 years. So we also have a present for him. You don't have to open it, it's a gavel. Because we thought you might miss it, so that's what we got you.
He's not getting this one, so.
That's right. He had passed it on, so we didn't want him to feel, sorry without it, so.
Thank you so much. I'm touched.
Thank you. We appreciate this so much. I know that the other board members would probably say the same thing. This is my 4th time receiving these wonderful gifts, and the first year we got a handmade vase. I think it was made out of like a mayonnaise jar or something that the students put some little tiles on the outside, and then the next year we got handmade greeting cards that they made like for us to give, so they were blank, but they gave us like a ton of these greeting cards, and I only give them to educators, or people that work in the district, because I know that they would appreciate the artwork on it. And last year we got lovely framed pictures that the kids made, little collages with several little pictures, and that hangs in my kitchen. And this will be proudly in my home too. So, and I'm sure the other board members would say the same thing, that this means a lot to us. So thank you very much to Mr. Baumgartner. Would say the same thing, that this means a lot to us. So thank you very much to Mr. Baumgartner and his art class for doing that, and also to Mr. Atwood for his leadership over the past several years. These are big shoes to fill, but he told me today what his consulting rate is for when I call him and bug him, so. All right. So item 2.02, what we all like the most, I think, are rising stars. So I'll turn the floor over to Mrs. Chesson.
January. So boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, when I call your name, come down here, and we're going to stand up front and you'll receive a certificate. January. So boys' accomplishments, and we'll take lots of pictures. So first up we have Sharpsburg Elementary accomplishments, and we'll take lots of pictures. So first up we have Sharpsburg Elementary and Primary's Rising Star student for January is Paige Carter. The PACS leader at Sharpsburg. She shows up every day ready to learn and to grow. Her hard work shows in the amazing progress she has made as a reader, writer, and mathematician. She's a great friend and a role model in our school. We are so proud to have Paige in our kindergarten class and part of our Sharpsburg community. Congratulations, Paige.
Next, we have Norwood View Elementary School's Rising Star student for January, and that is Carter Simpson. Carter is currently a second grade student at View. He works hard and consistently strives for excellence in the classroom. He comes to class prepared, participates in classroom discussions, and he is always focused and attentive. He has a strong desire to do well and is willing to put in the extra effort needed to be successful. He is a pleasure to have in class. He is very kind and respectful to his teachers, other students, and the staff at View. He exemplifies what it means to be a PACS leader at Norwood View. We are proud to call Carter our rising star. We know he will continue to be successful in years to come. Way to go, Carter.
Williams Avenue Elementary School's Rising Star student for January is Aaliyah Reynolds. Looks like Aaliyah hasn't made it here yet, but we will still celebrate her tonight. And we'll do it again if she wants to come at a different board meeting. Aaliyah Reynolds is consistently leading by example. She's an extremely hard worker and is always eager to jump at an opportunity to help her fellow classmates. She's kind, helpful, and always on task. Aaliyah is a joy to have in class as she works hard to help her teachers with any task she can. It is our privilege to recognize Aaliyah Reynolds as the 4th grade Rising Star.
The Norwood Montessori School's Rising Star student for January is Finley Moore. Finley exemplifies the qualities of a Montessorian that we encourage in our classroom every day. He is an eager learner, spends his time focused on his work, and is respectful, thoughtful, and kind. He always strives to follow our peace promise by taking care of himself, all living things in our environment. Finley has grown so much since the beginning of the year and has become a leader that any of our students can go to with questions or if they need help with their work. He is always happy to help and often offers before he is even asked. He truly enjoys learning new things and is always eager to share what he has learned. Finn's smile and positivity light up our room every day, and we are excited to see how he continues to grow throughout the rest of the school year and beyond. Finley is truly a rising star.
Norwood Middle School's Rising Star student for January is Reed Heberling. As an 8th grader at the middle school, Reed makes it his goal to demonstrate all of the school's past characteristics in the way he's willing to help others. Reed is an exemplary student and a leader among his peers. He consistently combines his academic talents with his intense, motivational drive and stamina to excel in everything he does. In addition to his academic efforts, Reed is a member of the National Honor Society. In the past, Reed was a member of the swim team, and he plans to participate again this year. He has also joined the World of 800 Billion competition, where students write and create a video discussing how population growth impacts global topics. Reed and his 8th grade team focus their research on climate change. In addition, Reed has set some short and long-term goals for himself. He plans to earn straight A's throughout middle school and successfully graduate high school with the class of 2027. Reed is incredibly proud that he has maintained straight A's his entire educational career. Eventually, he'd like to go to college to study business and become an entrepreneur. Norwood Middle School expects excellent things from Reed Heberling in the future, and it's people like him that make Norwood Middle School a Hall of Fame school and Norwood City School District great. Congratulations.
Norwood High School's Rising Star student for January is Riley Hanauer. Norwood High School is proud to recognize 9th grade student Riley Hanauer. The staff describes Riley as extremely motivated and curious. She always puts her best effort in all her academic endeavors and exemplifies what it means to be a self-advocate. Her best characteristic is her positive attitude and great sense of humor. She seems to always look at the glass as half full, and her positivity is contagious, making every class more enjoyable. She is always trying to make connections with all of her peers. She is a natural leader and is currently enrolled in an interactive photography course where she displays the ability and patience to work cooperatively with students at all different ability levels, instructing and motivating students with her kind and gentle demeanor. Congratulations, Riley.
Norwood's athletic rising star for January is Anthony Dinwiddie. Anthony has become a star in his role on the Norwood varsity basketball team as a defensive specialist. He makes sound plays throughout the game, and he is the glue guy who holds the team together. He makes plays that on the stat sheet may not show, but his impact surely does. During the first quarter, he has achieved a great GPA. Anthony also participates in football and track and field. He is well respected among his peers and mentors students at Norwood Middle School. Congratulations, Anthony. And now, Joe Westendorf, principal of Sharpsburg, would like to recognize our district staff Rising Stars for January as well.
Good evening. Thank you, Mrs. Chesson. I want to take this moment to recognize 3 rising stars who stood certainly above the rest last month and do every day in the regular roles that they do. So thank you to the quick thinking and actions taken by 3 amazing Sharpsburg staff members, Gladys Stewart, Alicia Rosslow, and Diane Prather. Their colleague, Tammy Centers, is alive today. On December 12th, during recess, as Tammy was walking with a student, she fell to the ground unresponsive. Immediate action was taken by Ms. Stewart, who called for the office to dial 911. She also alerted our nurse, Ms. Prather, who grabbed the AED, all the while Mrs. Rosslow was providing CPR. Due to the professionalism of these ladies, fire and EMS was alerted and responded fast, which at their arrival, Tammy had regained a pulse, thanks to them rendering CPR and the AED. As Tammy states, I owe my life to these ladies. I am so happy they are being recognized for the heroic deeds. In addition to the amazing work the 3 of them do for our school each and every day, please join me in recognizing these 3 rising stars who literally saved a life that day. Gladys Stewart, Alicia Rosslow,
We are going to take some pictures, so students, I'm going to have you move down just a little bit this way. And then the board members are going to come up and they want to say congratulations to all of you as well. Breathe. Stand up down here. Got it. Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. We're doing another one. 1, 2, 3. Very nice. Congratulations. This time we'll have the students and their families go out into the lobby with Ms. Havlin and take some great family photos so that we can capture this moment. And our staff, Rising Stars, we want to capture some more pictures of all of you as well, if that's okay. Thank you. Congratulations.
Okay, moving on, item 3 on the agenda, personnel, and I'll turn the floor over to Superintendent Ronan.
Thank you, Madam President. Number 3.01, employment. Number 1, I'd like to welcome Brett Bach-Elder as an educational aide and Brittany Craig Miles as a student assistant. In fact, I saw Brittany today getting her ID card in the office, so welcome. Number 2, supplementals for the year for jazz band and tennis boys varsity. Item number 3 are our pupil activity contracts, and as you can see, spring sports are definitely gearing up. And also, there's additional supplementals for Avenues for Success and also our spring musical. So it's fairly light this month, so thank you, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Superintendent Ronan. Do I have a motion to approve item 3.01?
I'll motion to approve item 3.01.
Any discussion? I will be abstaining from this vote. Mr. Atwood?
Mr. Atwood? Yes. Ms. Ballard?
Yes.
Mrs. Rarica?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mrs. Cole?
Abstain. All right, item 4, this is our Education Committee report, and I would turn the floor over to Mrs. Rarica.
All right, we have some field trips. Sharpsburg Elementary, 4th and 5th graders going to Green Acres. Norwood View, 2nd graders also going to Green Acres. Winter Guard competition in 4 different places. Silhouettes competition in several places also. And Norwood High School, Cincinnati State, for grades 11 and 12.
Do I have a motion to approve 4.01 student field trips?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Mr. Atwood?
Mr. Atwood? Yes. Ms. Ballard?
Yes.
Mrs. Rarica?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mrs. Cole?
Yes. All right, with those approved, moving on, item number 5, this is our Policy Committee report, and I will turn the floor over to Vice President Taylor.
Thank you, Madam President. Tonight we have the second reading of JECBB, which pertains to inter-district open enrollment. We've been discussing this one for a few months. We also have the first reading of JFE, which pertains to student pregnancy and related condition. The changes are based on guidance documents for the rights and protections under law and to better reflect new federal rules written to ensure educational programming for the students who are affected by this policy. And KKA, recruiters and schools. Once this policy was open, the language was updated to more clearly match Ohio law. The biggest change is that in secondary schools, we must add student school email and phone to directory information and release that information to military recruiters, except where parents have requested that it not be shared with recruitment officers. FERPA requires that we notify parents, and we do that notification through final forms. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the second reading of JECBB and the first readings of JFE and KKA.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Is this where we're going to talk about them, or?
If you would
Yeah,
like.
We're not going to do them separately?
If you,
We can discuss any of the policies.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Would you like to discuss the policy?
I don't have anything ready to say at the moment. I know you do.
I have some thoughts.
My microphone wasn't even on.
I think that's going to be our thing. You're on mute for a while. I struggled, with open enrollment. I'm not ashamed to admit that. I struggled with this. I've lived in Norwood all except maybe 6 years of my life. And, one of the things that I've always liked about Norwood is, I've always heard that we're the little donut hole surrounded by the donut. And I love that, and this kind of open enrollment felt a little bit like we were taking some of that away. And I struggled, and I really struggled. And, I've done more research, I've done more talking, and with others, and I feel much more comfortable about this than I did. And I really, I wasn't sure how I was going to vote tonight until very recently. So I just, want the public to know, if anybody is surprised by our thoughts on this, or any individual's thoughts on this, let's talk. Reach out to us and let's talk, and let us help you understand what we have come to learn. It just took me a little bit longer to learn it, I think, than others, but I will be voting in support of this tonight, which is something that I wasn't sure I was going to be able to do. So I just want, those that I've talked to about this, I just want them to know where I've landed on this. So, any other discussion?
I'll say that I've enjoyed talking to people online and in person and via email about this, and people have a lot of questions, and I do love answering them and helping them understand that there are state laws that we have to follow, and what the benefits are. And just today, I had a parent tell me in person, I'm very afraid of this. And I said, well, this, and this. And I don't know, I'm still afraid. And then when I get to the part of something that could benefit this parent, they were like, oh, and their tune changed. Oh, this is beneficial. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, aha, there we go. So talking to us really does help. We can really help you understand this. There's a lot of good things that can come from this, so just want you to know you can talk to us, and it's great.
Anybody else?
I just want to add to this that, I think we went through this the right way, right? This is a topic that has been kind of under the radar for a number of years, at least the number of years that I've been on board. And I think the moment was right for us to really begin exploring it, especially when you look at the dynamics of the citizenship of the city over time, and how that relates to the enrollment rates of the district over the same period of time. And then also the explosion of just surrounding. I mean, one of the things that shocked me the most when the committee that we assigned this task way back in, what was it, August, September? One of the things that shocked me the most was realizing that there are 24 separate school districts that actively recruit and campaign for the students, or the school-age children here in Norwood. 24. And we're handcuffed by being a closed enrollment school district by not being able to fully, go after that, or be on the same level playing field. And this puts us on a level playing field. And for those who say that this is going to take away from their kids here in Norwood, I would completely disagree. There's absolutely nothing. There's so much open, available space here in our district, right? So we can welcome many, many students and many, many families with open arms without risking anything to any other family here in Norwood. I think that's a tremendous gift, right? And then the opportunities here in the district, right? Our arts programs, right? Our sports programs, our music programs. I mean, there's so much that we have to offer. And I'm just glad to be able to extend that invitation.
Brandon, what you're saying, that there are private schools, like say St. Mary's is K through 8, and I have a friend who has a kid there, and my kid started orchestra in 6th grade. And I said, oh, does your kid do orchestra at St. Mary's? Do they have orchestra? No, they don't have orchestra. And I was like, really? Such a shame. Such a shame. I mean, people don't realize what we have.
Norwood offers more program opportunities, more extracurricular opportunities, more arts and music opportunities, and more sports opportunities than I think any other district our size in the state of Ohio. It is unprecedented that we have all the things and resources and people willing to put their time and effort into servicing those things for our students in this district. And I feel like if others find out about our little kept secret, people are going to be knocking on our door, and we're going to have high standards for this, and I think that folks are afraid of that. But we already have students who come here. Our teachers know how good we are, and they bring their own kids here. So I want to be able to serve the families in our district and give them the opportunity to see what we can offer their students who are leaving for places that I think can't match what we have to offer. They can't match the community, the support, and the education that we offer here at Norwood.
I agree.
One of the things I forgot to say, I didn't make notes, and if I don't make notes, you can just forget it, because nothing's going to come out right. But one of the things I wanted to say was, I think one of the hardest parts of being on this Board of Education is separating yourself as a parent and in your board member role. It's two different things. And when I first heard about open enrollment, that mom in me kicked in, and I was like, no, like this is ours, right? This is Norwood, this is us. And if you're not from Norwood, you can never be Norwood strong, or you're never going to be a proud Norwood Indian like I am, and you just feel kind of possessive about it. But when you look at it from the school board side of me, and it's like, it's the right thing to do. It is just the right thing to do. And it caused a struggle, it just really caused a struggle. But, I have been able to resolve that. But that is one of the very difficult things of participating on this board sometimes, is keeping your two roles separate. But I'm excited about this now. So.
Yeah, and I think it's healthy. I think having that internal struggle and trying to find that resolution. That this is probably one of the most impactful decisions that a Board of Education will make in this district in a long time.
This is huge. I think this is the biggest thing since I've been on the board. I think this is...
Right. So not challenging it and not going into it with open eyes and having those discussions and really giving it the attention it deserves, right, I think would be doing it injustice. And I'm glad that this board took the time, put the committee together to get the data, right, to run through all the scenarios, figure out what works, what doesn't work, and then have this district try to implement the best of the best, right, all the policies and all the little things. And I'm really proud of how we went through this process.
I reiterate what Debbie said. When we first started talking about everyone, I was dead set against it. I did not want it. But it's the right decision. We did not come to this conclusion
easily
just like that. It took some time, and it took some questions, and
he got there long before I did.
And all this research.
Yeah.
Correct. It wasn't just this much information. We got all the information that we could to make the decision that we're going to make.
Yeah.
So
I have loved taking this all around with me wherever I go and telling people, you want to talk about open enrollment? I've got this really cool binder full of all sorts of research. We can talk about it. We took it to Women's Club. People there had questions. I have to run it, so I was like, here's Amber. Here's the binder. Go ask her. And they did. It was great.
I was put to task. Here with this.
And like I said, it's been weighing on our minds for some time. And, over the fall, I would go to a football game and I would sit down next to somebody and I would say, hey, can I pick your brain for a second? And it's just been, there's been thought put into this. So anybody that's watching, I don't want anybody to feel like this was just a decision made on the fly or anything. If I talk to you, you know how I struggled with this. So and it's been a long time. This was discussed at length in our December committee meeting.
December 6th.
December 6th. It has come to my attention recently that the public wasn't aware that this was even being discussed. Admittedly, when I was not on the board, I did not watch the school board meetings either. So I don't fault anybody for not watching that, but December 6th, if you want to look up NCT on Facebook, go back to December 6th and look at the committee meeting. You will see this binder presented to us. You'll see the pages that will come up. It's online under the board minutes. You can see the PDF. If anybody needs help, reach out to me and I can direct you to that. Actually, I have it saved on my computer and I can reply to your email with that deck. But this is not something that was taken lightly. So I just want to make sure that everybody is well aware of that. And I've said that several times. Any other discussion?
I think it was interesting that you brought up like being part of Norwood Pride and not being able to feel like, oh, they can't quite understand. I've never met an elder student who didn't brag for the rest of their absolute life that they went to elder. I want that same pride for our students.
Absolutely.
And I feel like we have that pride. So if they want to come here and they want to be part of this family, let them be Norwood strong, let them be Norwood proud, let them be a part of this team and community and family, because if they can do it, and they're just one school in the city, and I know other schools that have the same mentality. We create the environment that you're proud of. It's not whether or not we're open enrollment. It's not where you came from or where you moved from. It's, are you part of this community? Are you invested in it? Yeah. And if they're as invested as students as we are in our own community, then we are not going to have any problem making sure that they're happy to be Norwood students and Norwood grads.
I really liked when Debbie mentioned the Norwood Pride thing too, because that is something that I tell people when they move to Norwood. I'm like, there's this thing, it's Norwood Pride, and it's extremely infectious.
Absolutely.
And once you move here, you will acquire it, and you too will tell everybody about how much you love it. So I'm excited that to infect more people with Norwood Pride.
I shared with Alice before the meeting, my dad wasn't a Norwood grad, but my mom and my brothers and my husband and my oldest son and, everybody's a Norwood grad. My youngest son's getting ready to graduate. All my in-laws, they're all Norwood grads. And I said, I'm the only person in my family. And I said, my gripe about open enrollment right now for Norwood is, where was this in 88 or 89? Because this would have made my life a whole lot better. And my mom still worked in Norwood after we moved, so she was driving to Norwood all the time. But I did not get the privilege to graduate from Norwood High School, which is one of the things that absolutely breaks my heart. But my class, shout out 95, they have been so kind. Becky Parks Baker was the class president, and she has been so kind to keep me involved all the years I was gone. I attend class reunions. I went to my schools Monday through Friday, and then on Friday nights I was back here at Shea Stadium watching the football games here, because I just, I said I'm the biggest Indian that's really not an Indian, because I don't have that diploma, but I'm glad we can offer that to others so they can have what I don't have. Anything else? Mr. Atwood?
Mr. Atwood, yes. Ms. Ballard?
Yes.
Mrs. Rarica?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mrs. Cole?
Yes. All right, so with that, we are now an open enrollment district. All right, number 6, building and grounds. I will turn the floor over to Ms. Ballard.
Thank you, Madam President. We have a couple items up on here. The first one is the Hamilton County Board of Elections would like to use the art room and let's see here, for the primary and special general elections in Sharpsburg Elementary. Dates will be determined later. And option 2, or request number 2 is Norwood Knot Hole would like to use Shea Stadium for opening day on April 1st from 10 to 12:30. I'd like to make a motion that we accept both as presented.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All right, Mr. Atwood?
Mr. Atwood? Yes. Ms. Ballard?
Yes.
Mrs. Rarica?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mrs. Cole?
Yes. All right, with those approved, number 7, we have the Finance Committee report, and standing in for Mrs. Camphouse, I will turn the floor over to Mr. Atwood.
So for tonight, we have 7.01, which is our monthly financial reports. Those includes the treasurer's monthly report, the cash summary balance, disbursements, detailed check register, and a number of construction change orders. 7.02 is our appropriation resolution and 412 certificate. 7.03 is Norwood football uniforms. The state made a change that says you can't have uniforms with a border around the number, so we have to modify all of our uniforms. Typically, this is done through a standard rotating agreement with boosters, but because this is a change initiated by the state, we're increasing our participation amount in this uniform change. 7.04 is Centerpoint's elevator project. This is the final pay and closing documents, and that's all we have on the agenda for tonight. So with the board's approval, I would like to make a motion that we approve finance items 7.01 through 7.04.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Okay, and just to add to the topic of the football uniforms, it's also my understanding that football uniforms have some sort of a useful life, and we have exceeded that useful life with those uniforms as well. So I just want to add that it's not that we, we just have to spend this money because the state tells us to. I think it was time anyway, based on the useful life of those uniforms. So I just want to make our taxpayers aware of that.
Good. I was going to be mad at the state for making such a dumb rule about borders around numbers. I'm not even sure why they would do that, but and I will be mad for other schools who had just bought new uniforms. I don't know who you are, other schools, but I'm mad for you.
I think it's a national
I think
rule.
there's-
I think it's a
National?
National Federation of High School Sports rule. I think that's way.
wow.
We interpreted it a couple years ago when I was
But
still on
I think there
boosters.
is a grace period if you had just purchased uniforms for the budgetary purposes of the school.
And that's why they weren't purchased. They should have been purchased a few years ago, but then with COVID
so
and
it's already
everything
been
else,
a
and
couple
some other
years.
stuff that happened.
Yeah, but I
They
think
couldn't work.
if a school had just purchased uniforms before this rule went into effect, I think they are giving them a grace period that whatever you order next, because that, you ordered them technically before that rule went into place.
Yeah.
So at the end of that life, then you have to replace them following the new guideline.
Right.
Well,
Yeah,
that's nice
they've
that
known
they're
about
doing
this
that.
rule, I think it's, what,
Yeah,
about 3 years.
It's been coming.
And it talks, yeah.
It just
Yeah.
hasn't, been kind of pushed over the edge yet.
Yeah,
I agree, it's kind of, it's silly.
yeah,
It's like, why?
yeah.
It's an artistic choice. I mean, there's an outline around the end, like, who cares? I can see it.
I just didn't want to add to anybody being mad at the state unnecessarily.
We have plenty of reasons to be mad at the
Yes,
state.
yes, yes.
Plenty of other reasons.
But we were due for new football uniforms anyway. so.
Right.
All
That's
right.
good to hear.
Any other discussion? All right, Mr. Atwood?
Mr. Atwood? Yes. Ms. Ballard?
Yes.
Mrs. Rarica?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mrs. Cole?
Yes. All right, item 8 is the hearing of the public. I was not given any papers before the meeting, so I'll assume we do not have anybody here to speak. Number 9, this is moving into reports. So our first report, 9.01, board announcements. Anybody have any announcements? Amber does.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about it. Oh my gosh. Okay. So this week I went over to Sharpsburg to check out the 4th graders doing their dance. And it is the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. So they get together in the gym in the afternoon for a couple hours and they learn a dance routine. They're beginning to work on it, and they have a 10-week class taught by a local, actually ballroom champion who is retired, and he's taken his time to come and teach the kids. We were told about it last week at our committee meeting by Mr. Westendorf, and just to see it in action was so cool. The kids were very attentive. Some of them were already even dressed up. Like, he said that kind of progresses and the kids get, no. Some of them were already in their dresses, and one even had like his little suit jacket on.
Oh my goodness.
I was so excited. I told Alice that I want to see if we can maybe get the women's club on board with providing the decorations and maybe like a snack table stuff for the parents, because they get to come and see this whole thing at the end. So I want to make it a little bit fancier for them and a little bit more fun. So I look forward to seeing their progress in the next few weeks. And like I said, in about 10 weeks, we'll get to see a full dance out of the fourth graders. So super cute.
Did you participate?
I did. I got to participate, and we learned our box step, and I got to help some of the kiddos that if they didn't have a partner, I got to help step in. It was a lot of fun.
Because I heard Alice was going to be your partner, so that's...
I will be, but
Mr. Wadley got to be my partner for a minute, and then I helped with students while he
Okay.
helped with other students. It worked out pretty well.
so this week, instead of doing that, I went to the Chamber of Commerce meeting. So I was like, I'll be there next week.
Any other...
It's really cool. If you guys get a chance to swing by, it's around 1 o'clock on Wednesday, so I recommend stop by. It's worth it.
It's really cute. Or I know it's going to be cute. I was just going to say, I went to the Chamber of Commerce meeting, and Mary was there, and Terry was there. And our Mayor, Vic Schneider, gave a great State of the City address, and he several times gave shout-outs to our school district and how wonderful we are. And I think on 3 or 4 different times during his presentation, he's like, and our wonderful school district that we have a great relationship with, and blah, 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 blah. And every time I was like, yeah.
Any other announcements?
The Silhouettes are going to have a fundraiser on the
Oh, I saw that.
27th.
Karaoke
It should be
night?
fun in the
Yep, on
community
Friday.
center in the basement.
Yep, get your songs ready. Come on out.
Anything else? All right. 9.02, this is our superintendent's report. I will turn the floor over to Superintendent Ronan.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to announce that we have free after-school tutoring. Dr. Zillux from XU wrote a grant, and we had where really it kind of benefited both of us. It was a great partnership. Our children needed after-school tutoring in phonics, vocabulary, fluency, comprehension after the pandemic, and they had pre-service teachers studying to be teachers who they sent over as after-school tutors. And our first session started in October, went through December. Now we have a second session, and there's a great picture of one of the pre-service teachers and one of our students, and they just love the one-on-one attention that they got. So the second session goes from January 31st to April 4th. So we're just very excited that we have such a great partner in XU down the street that oftentimes they call, they offer grant opportunities. We always say yes, and the end result is just great. And there's 2 of our students, so I do want to thank XU and Dr. Tammy Zillux. She is assistant professor in the College of Education for always thinking of us and providing resources. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Superintendent Ronan. Item 9.03, this is our Great Oaks report, and I will turn it over to Ms. Ballard.
Thank you, Madam President. At last week's board meeting, we elected our first African-American president to the Great Oaks Board of Directors in our 51-year history, Mary Cleveland, who is currently serving at Princeton City Schools. We were sworn in by the Hamilton County Commissioner, Stephanie DeMoss, and Jessica Miranda, who is our District 28 rep and a former board member at Winton Woods. I accepted the appointments to 2 committees, Building and Grounds, ironically, since I'm on Building and Grounds here, as a member, and I'm now the chairperson for the Diversity and Equity Committee. I also launched our first major initiative for the year, which will be a survey to establish plans for board training goals for 23-24 school year. Our Education Committee, I was able to meet with the head of our police programming, and we have a plan in place to work with a grant to provide ASL training to all of our police, fire, EMT, and sheriffs in training for cultural competency and language awareness to help in their training to work with the deaf community. We already currently work with a grant to help train them in autism awareness. So we want to partner into those efforts and continue the work that we're doing. Let's see here. I was also given an A to Z checklist, which I would like our board to participate in. The checklist is due by February 10th, and that is a Southwest region piece that we just check off the items that we achieved during the last calendar year to see if we've met them all. And if we do, then we get added to that wonderful list of districts that are checking all the boxes, literally A to Z. I can forward that on to our treasurer and make sure that we're meeting all of those requirements. Scarlet Oaks has a scheduled virtual tour date for those parents who can't do the in-person or students that can't make the in-person field trip, and that virtual date is on January 26th. And I think that's in field trip, and that virtual date is on January 26th. And I think that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Bauer. 9.04, this is Norwood Community Television. Trying to send this to me. So as many of you know, Tyler does an after-school program for kids that are interested in the TV studio, and he says that they just took a field trip to the set of the Robert De Niro movie, which was shooting at City Hall. Let's see what else. We met at the location, we met the location manager on the steps of City Hall. He showed us around the massive operation that employed 150 people. We didn't get to go onto the set, but he did take us inside City Hall and describe a shot they plan to get on the staircase that goes up, and explained what all would happen to get that shot. He introduced us to a location assistant who aspired to be a producer, and he talked to the kids about the schooling they would need for a similar job. We also met a couple of movie extras who joined our tour. And then he just wanted to make sure that credit is given to Laura Ferguson and Sheila Faust, who made this happen for his club on a very short amount of time, and then he says again. So he always wants to give credit where credit is due, so kudos to Ms. Ferguson and Ms. Faust, who helped with that experience for our kids. All right, 9.05, this is the OSBA Legislative Liaison, and I will be turning it over to Ms. Bauer.
Thank you, Madam President. There have been two major items. Let me see here. Clarification has come forward on the Open Meetings Act, and some of that pertains to school boards. It was just launched on the 6th of this month, so I recommend going in and just reviewing those policies on what constitutes an open meeting, just so that we're caught up on that. It happened a couple years ago, when I think October 2021, but they've made clarifications ever since, and the Supreme Court has come forward with clarification. The other is a superintendent contract renewal update that came out on the 13th of this month, just making sure that school boards are on top of superintendent contracts, making sure that those dates are followed, and that everything is on track for the state if your district happens to need renewal for your contract. The other items that we were mentioning recently through Oaks were focuses coming from the governor's office. One of them was strengthening the Fair School Funding Plan, and that's a goal that we have, especially regards to future CTE expansion goals to meet the needs across the state, to meet the current technical education center needs and expanding fields that will be popping up in the next few years. We also, through the governor's office, plan to help address the growing teacher shortage, especially in regards to finding qualified career tech educators, but obviously that's something that the whole state is working towards. And this could be achieved by supporting alternative licensing pathways, transitioning educators from their CTE field, perhaps tax incentives to businesses for experienced professionals already working in those applicable fields, as kind of a experience granted sort of thing in their training capacity. So working with the governor's office, those are some goals that they have in CTE coming for legislation. And that concludes my report.
All right. Moving on, 9.06, this is Avenues for Success, and I'll turn it over to Mrs. Rarica.
Thank you, Madam President. Avenues reports that they're working on a partnership with the Girl Scouts to bring in some programming. and the Summer Blast Camp K through 5. I know everyone's always wondering about that because their summer plans are really important to make way ahead of time. Will be held at Sharpsburg, and enrollment will begin the first week of February. Also, they always have room for more students, and even if you didn't sign up at the beginning of the year, you can sign up now. If your student has decided now that they'd like to join something, just contact Laura Ferguson.
All right. Thank you. All right, item 10, this is future meeting notifications. So we have our committee meeting on Tuesday, February 7th at the Board of Education office, and then that will be followed by the regular board meeting the following week on Thursday, February 23rd.
Or 2 weeks later.
What's that?
Is it 2 weeks later?
Oh, it is 2 weeks later, isn't it? Sorry. And yes, so that regular board meeting will be here at the high school mini auditorium. So do I have a motion to approve the future meetings?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I think I'll vote no out of spite because this is the 4th Thursday instead of the 3rd Thursday, and I very carefully planned a trip
We had to do that.
by the 4th Thursday, and not the 3rd.
I think that's to meet Julie.
Ding dong, right. Somebody else has a very important thing, and they're very important too.
Right.
So,
I will be at the Southwest Executive Committee on the 7th, so I won't be here for that meeting, but I'll be here on the 23rd.
Okay, so your conflict is the 7th and your conflict is the 23rd?
the 23rd.
Okay.
Which,
Okay.
we're okay.
So don't
Yeah.
do anything important while I'm gone.
Any other discussion? All right, Mr. Atwood?
Mr. Atwood, yes. Ms. Ballard?
Yes.
Mrs. Rarica?
No,
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mrs. Cole?
Yes.
I'm Big Rebel.
All right, so item 11, this is adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
All motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we are
I am-
adjourned,
I
6:58.
am always tempted to say nay at those adjournment ones. At Women's Club, I used to always go,